Maybe it's a nostalgia thing, maybe it's a British thing, perhaps it's just purist bullshit. The fact that the new Porsche Boxster and Cayman are arriving with turbo flat 4-cylinder engines and no longer a naturally aspirated flat 6 has caused a bit of an outrage with the Chairborne warriors and the blood purity test fanatics. Their outrage comes not from having driven the vehicles, but from looking at press releases and spec sheets. That Porsche have run turbocharged race cars since the 70s, that Porsche dare put turbos on the 911 in the mid-70s, or, God forbid, water-cooled it, that they did a front-engine 4-cylinder car or a V8 engine front-engine car with an automatic transmission long before they did crossovers and SUVs, you know. But now this latest false outrage is that the Cayman and the Boxster have turbo 4s. The fact that everyone who has actually driven the latest generation say they ride better, they handle better, they steer better, and wait for it, drive better, is irrelevant to this crowd. First, it was Alex Goy from Carfaction and The Roadshow, going on about how the new Cayman was better except for this one thing, the noise, and, well, let Alex tell you.
It's got a silly name and it sounds distinctly un-Porsche-ish, but it goes like stink and doesn't look too bad at all. It's also cheaper than the car it used to be, more expensive than, and the top whack car is less than £50,000. It's a lot for a 2.5 litre 4-pot, but the numbers make up for it. Just. The 718 Cayman S, or Cayman S, or just Cayman, is in nearly every way a better car than the one that preceded it. The last one was awesome, it was good fun. This one is just better, it's sharper, it's tauter, it's faster, it's better for the environment. But that noise, that's the one thing that kills it. For me, the most important thing about a car really is the noise it makes, because you can't go flat out everywhere. If it were me, if it were my money, and I was offered the choice between this or going on a classified site and looking for a used Cayman S, that's where I'd be going, because the noise, it's the biggest downside of it. Hopefully the next generation or a facelift will fix that, but for now, it's so nearly one of the best things ever, but not quite.
Less than a week later, it's Steve Sutcliffe from Auto Express, and he puts out a video for all intents and purposes saying exactly the same thing. Here, let Steve tell you what he says. Sounds very familiar. It's almost as if they're reading from the same script.
Fast with a capital F. And I don't have a problem with anything else that it does, because everything else that it does is brilliant. The handling is delightful. Even the ride quality is very, very good. And the steering is delicious. The brakes are delicious. This redesigned cabin, it's a lovely place to be. But I've just got this problem with the motor. The way the motor sounds. The slight lack of response that the motor has when you put your foot down. And it's such a crying shame, because in every other area, the new Cayman 718, especially this S1, is just, it's an awesome sports car. But the bottom line is, I think that if it was my money, I'm not sure I'd buy one of these new Caymans. I want the old GTS with the flat 6 in it, which isn't just as quick as this, but when you nail it in that car, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and that never quite happens in this new one. But then in every single other way, it is just, it's an impressive car rather than one that blows your mind. That's the difference, and that's why I think I prefer the old one.
So, let's put this a different way. You're given 2 tacos to eat. One is from a street vendor, the other from celebrity chef Rick Bayless. In a blind taste test, you like the street vendor's taco just fine. It's quite good, but the one from Bayless is just that little bit better. Now, once you find out that the one you like better was from the celebrity chef and not the street vendor, you declare, I'd not eat the better taco because it's not authentic. What? Just how much better is the new Cayman in the semi-reality that is the Nürburgring? Okay, how about 16 seconds faster than the old model Cayman S and within 2 seconds of the Cayman GT4. Now, if it's 2, 3, or 4 seconds, you could say driver, tires, conditions, and render the difference moot. But on a track that long, 16 seconds is a huge difference, and for all intents and purposes, it's a statistical tie with the GT4. Now, in daily driving, all reports are that the additional 70 foot-pounds of torque make for a much better daily driver and a back road driver. It's not only the increase in torque, but the shape of the torque curve that just makes it so much better. So you have to ask yourself, what's more important if you're dropping $65,000 to $90,000 on a Boxster or Cayman? Is it a better all-around car, or is it the noise? Now, maybe if the Boxster or Cayman is your 4th or 7th car in your fleet and you have the luxury of being ultra finicky, then okay, I can see where you would choose the lesser car because it has more perceived character. For the 98% of the rest of the Cayman and Boxster buyers, this is either their primary or secondary car, and 99.44% of the time, I can guarantee you they will choose better over character. Now, I was wondering if it's out there on an island of rationality when none other than Pulitzer Prize-winning auto journalist, in fact, the only auto journalist to ever win the Pulitzer Prize, Dan Neal, said in the Wall Street Journal, the 2017 Porsche Boxster S Turbo offers a new, quieter sound, but even purists should note this version is vastly superior to its showier predecessor. For those of you out there who lament the onslaught of turbocharged engines and naturally aspirated engines rapidly disappearing, well, get used to it. Global governments insist on imposing more restrictive fuel economy and emissions regulations. Often, those governments are elected by the same journalists lamenting about the naturally aspirated engines going away, so cue your Alanis Morissette music here. I get that sometimes better isn't better, but saying the new Cayman and Boxster are brilliant, but you wouldn't have it because of the engine note, it's beyond absurd.